back to another episode of the Deep Impact Podcast. I am your host, Bo Walker, and it's rivalry week, ladies and gentlemen. It is the best week in college football. But before we get into that, I am
I would
joined
argue it's
by
the second best week.
behind opening week.
Yes.
Okay, I'm joined by Mark Carson and Jason Cephas.
We're just getting right down to it. Yeah, I think it's the second best week because I think I'm more of an NFL fan. I think I've made it clear. We all know that amongst our friends.
Yeah.
But I think that week one of the college football season to me is more exciting than rivalry week.
See, I would say,
games mean much more. The games mean much more.
oh, absolutely.
Uh,
I would say week one it sets a tone for the rest of the season.
I don't
Um,
know about that, but
well, you look at who Ohio State played in the first game. They had Notre Dame.
yeah, but it's become more of a tradition that like big schools, like Ohio State and that
Yeah.
they're playing other big schools because it used to be much like Alabama does a lot in the season, they just play a bunch of no names, and
Yep.
that's really what most schools still
St.
do.
Mary's School for the Deaf and Blind.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely improved on a larger scale, but I would still say the vast majority of teams, probably well over 50%, still play small no-name schools. If they're a big school, you're always going to
Okay.
have schools like Ohio and Akron and Kent State that are going to play other schools like Ohio, Akron, and Kent State because that's really they don't have another option other than to play a school that's better than them.
So I'm going through ESPN right now, looking at the games from the top 25, and it is definitely rivalry week. All right.
Oh yeah.
Starting
Well,
it
we'll
out
get into it.
Thursday,
We're just jumping
third.
into it already.
I mean, we'll save the game for last.
All right, fair
Um,
enough.
but I mean, just kicking it off, Thursday night, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss.
It'll be a fun one.
Now, Ole Miss did suffer a loss last week, a tough one, but that'll be a good game. And then Tulane and Cincinnati on Friday night. We got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday football, boys. Tulane and Cincinnati, nothing to write home about. NC State and North Carolina.
It's cool. I would love because Duke is definitely North Carolina's always been pretty decent at football. I
Duke, on
would
the other
love
hand.
since Duke. Yeah, well, Duke's been a I wouldn't say
Duke's,
a powerhouse, but a small powerhouse school
yeah,
for several years. I would love if they would start switching like Duke NC being part of rivalry week for football.
yeah,
I think that'd be fun because
that'd be a good
they
one.
don't play each other all the time at football, but they do play each other.
Yeah. UCLA and Cal. UCLA's probably going to dog walk them, but UCLA. Oh, no, he's not hurt. Okay, never mind. I was going to say UCLA's quarterback got hurt in the USC game, but that is false. He did not.
Speaking of injuries, you got a big one for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Big
Uh,
one.
Hendon Hooker is,
OUT.
yes, for the season, torn
Yeah.
ACL.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I mean, that he was the Heisman winner hands
Mm-hmm.
down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
now you've got. I mean, I would almost say it's probably going to be C.J. Stroud,
I
pending
don't
if they get
know.
Michigan, and then they win the Big Ten championship. I think
There
regardless
is
of his,
there is another front runner
who's
that
that?
is slowly sneaking up. The quarterback from USC, Caleb Williams.
I think he
This
could have a
season,
legitimate shot.
he is 250 for 385 attempts, 3,480 yards, 33 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. And he passed for 500 against UCLA on Saturday night.
And
So,
I think it's kind of like what I said with Hendon Hooker. You not only look at his stats, but what he's done for the program itself.
exactly.
I mean, USC's been down for how many years now? And now
At least since
this guy
yeah.
comes here, and him and Lincoln Riley come over from Oklahoma, and they are like right back to the good
Yep.
old days if you're a USC fan.
Yep.
I mean, and same goes for Hendon Hooker, and why I thought he was the Heisman, why he should have been the Heisman winner. Just not looking necessarily at all of his stats, but just what he did for the program. And I mean, getting game day there twice, beating Bama, beating all your rivals essentially, And
Yep.
unfortunately, it had his season has a very bad end to it. But you know, I I think Caleb Williams could very easily oust C.J. Stroud for the front runner.
Yeah. I mean, the Heisman is going to be interesting. It's going to be a shootout either way.
It's going to come down to
Very
the
end.
very last games. Yeah.
Yep. Next game we've got also on Friday night. We have the battle for the Sunshine State, Florida versus Florida State. Florida State is ranked and they are favored to win. And then on Saturday, I'm skipping over the obvious one. We got Georgia Tech. Can Georgia Tech upset Georgia? Probably not,
No.
but we're all rooting for them. South Carolina coming off a huge upset win over Tennessee, playing number 9 Clemson in Clemson.
What you talking about? Did you just talk about South Carolina?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, the game wasn't even close.
no, it was complete and utter upset. I mean, the final was, I'm trying to find it here, 63-38. When did
I
when
think
did
the
Hendon Hooker go out though? Because that might have had a thing to play in it.
first half, if I do remember correctly, I was at a wedding, so I'm not 100% sure that
Okay.
was 100% factual, but I'm pretty sure it was during the first half.
Yeah. So that probably had something to play with it, or had to do with it. My goodness. WVU, Oklahoma State. WVU is going to get their shit kicked in.
I'm a firm believer in they should have these big rivalries should always be on rivalry week. So
Oh yeah.
obviously I know you're getting to it, but we know OSU Michigan's going to play on rivalry week.
Yep.
The Red River a lot is on rivalry week, not always. Mississippi State and Ole Miss is another big one. I think WVU should play Pitt. We should move the backyard brawl to the last week. The backyard brawl being one is cool, but the game would mean so much more and be so much more watched, I think, if you move that game to be later. I don't know how popular the backyard brawl is in the world of college football, but
it's up there.
But I mean, obviously, it's a huge rivalry back here because you got a really big, healthy mix of WVU and Pitt fans.
Absolutely.
So that's.
I mean, we're 40. You think about it, we're 45 minutes to an hour away from each of those colleges.
Yeah. I'm just looking, go to Columbus and nobody really gives a crap about the backyard brawl. It's all about Ohio State, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And then even still, you move even a little bit farther, go to closer to Indiana, depending on where you're going to be at in Indiana, then nobody cares about OSU, Michigan. Now you're all looking at Notre Dame and their rivals, so
they play USC this week.
Yeah, that's what the gold jeweled Shillagah is their trophy.
Mm-hmm. And if you go past Pitt, then you start going into Penn State.
Yeah.
And you're right into Penn State territory. So
I would love to see an unbiased pool of what people from everywhere feel like are the top, even just top 5 best rivalries. I mean, I think it would just be really interesting to see how people even as far as California feel have you ever heard of the backyard brawl?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you go out, even in California, you go even let's be crazy, and you got college football fans in every state. Go to Hawaii, go to Alaska, guaranteed everyone knows what the game is. They know it's OSU, Michigan, or at least know those schools are rivals.
I'm searching the web right now for the top 15 football rivalries, college football. Real quick before we get to that: Auburn, Alabama, Oregon State, Michigan State, Penn State, LSU, Texas A&M. Notre Dame, USC, Kansas State, and Washington State rounds out rivalry week. I have trouble with my R's, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ranking the top college football rivalries by ProFootballNetwork.com. I am citing my sources, so if anybody comes at me and says, "Well, who'd you get that information from?" This is who. They have top 10: Oregon State, Florida State. Yeah. Florida State's a Sunshine Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, Harvard versus Yale.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
Number 7, Miami versus Florida State.
Yeah.
Number 6, Florida versus Georgia. This is known as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. They have the game, Ohio State, Michigan, as number 5.
Wow.
Yeah, don't agree with this list.
No.
Number 4, USC Notre Dame. Number 3, Army versus Navy. We forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Navy, dope
They're
jerseys. You haven't checked them out? Check them out.
Yep. Number 2, Oklahoma, Texas, the Red River Showdown, and then number 1, Alabama, Auburn, the Iron Bowl.
See,
I would put Ohio State, Notre Dame at 1, or Ohio State, Michigan at 1, and then the Red River Showdown at 2, and then the Iron Bowl at 3.
I
Those are mine.
think
And then Army Navy.
the way I see it, for a rivalry to be a top tier rivalry, both schools need to be at their best. Ohio State, Michigan is usually at their best heading into their game. Like the Iron Bowl, let's be honest, Bama usually cleans house and Auburn's just kind of there,
Mm-hmm.
And I after Michigan beat Ohio State last season, I remember saying, now it feels like a rivalry again.
Yeah, because Ohio State had won the past
As
10 out of
great,
11 years,
yes, as great as Ohio State winning every year was, there's that little, you get that little fire lit underneath you when you lose to your rival, and it just eats you up inside, and you just can't wait for another lick at them. Like,
they're going to be hungry. They're coming out. They're going to come out firing. I hope that they come out and start the first half better than they'd have all fucking season. They start off slow. And then last week they started off slow. They kept going slow, and then they finally turned it on in the last 2 minutes of the game. But
injuries. A lot of injuries heading in on both sides, not just Ohio State. Michigan's missing a lot of guys too.
And now, have we heard if their running back is playing?
I think he is.
Is he? Now, have we heard if our running backs are playing?
That I have not.
I know Travion Henderson's hurt. He went out of the game hurt.
Yes.
And then listen, what's the freshman's name that came in? I asked you too quickly, didn't I?
Isn't it like Holland or something, or Dolan?
Yes, I believe something that is like it. He looked good.
He looked good. He did look very good.
He looked very good.
But
Corum, Blake Corum.
Yes, Blake Corum. I believe he will be playing. I'll be surprised if he doesn't play.
Now, is Mayan Williams hurt still?
I don't know. I know he was obviously out last week, so yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of, it's kind of a weird like heading into the game this year. Like,
there's a lot of uncertainty with personnel
and when you look at the records, this is the first time since 2006, the game of the century, that both teams are coming in undefeated. Yeah. And here we are talking about all these injuries that both sides have.
Yep.
Like, it's
so let's do this real quick. Let's go back and let's look at their strength of schedule for each team and how much they won by, because they're both undefeated. So let's start with Michigan. 51-7 over Colorado State. Okay.
Yeah.
Their top 3 games were three of the weakest teams in college football. 56-10 over Hawaii, and 59-0 against UConn.
Yeah, but beating up Hawaii is like beating up Buckeye Local.
And beating up UConn is like beating up, Buckeye Local's JV team.
Yeah. And that's like what I know Kirk Herbstreit had mentioned this on game day a lot. After those 3 first weeks, he was not, he didn't really necessarily know where to put Michigan because they hadn't been tested up to that point. So,
out of the rest of their schedule, they have played one team that is still currently ranked.
Yeah.
Okay. Maryland 34-27, Iowa 27-14, only 14 points or 13 points. Sorry. 34-27. That's 14 points against Maryland, who Ohio State played last week. 31-10 over Indiana, 41-17 over the number 10 ranked Penn State, 29-7 Michigan State, 52-17 over Rutgers, who they struggled with in the first half.
They've struggled a lot this year.
They have.
It's not been that 11-0 record. It hasn't come easy for either team. So
Nebraska 34-3, and then last week they struggled, came down to a last-second field goal, 19-17 over Illinois.
A little help from the
Okay,
refs too. Just gonna
a
say it.
little help from the referees.
Those were
Okay,
not good calls towards the end.
no. Now, on Ohio State, 21-10 over the number 5 ranked Notre Dame team. Okay, 45-12 Arkansas State, 77-21 against Toledo.
Saw that one.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that
haven't
was
in
fun.
person.
52-21 against Wisconsin, 49-10 against Rutgers, 49-20 against Michigan State, 54-10 against Iowa, who they struggled with in the first half, and if I'm not mistaken, we're losing to. 44-31 Penn State, 21-7 against Northwestern, who they struggled with, who they should not have. 56-14 over Indiana, and then 43-30 over Maryland. They are the only team in the college football top 25 that has won every single one of their games by double digits.
Yep, I was actually just going to bring that up. I don't know if it's every college football team or if it's just people that have been ranked or are ranked.
I thought I saw that it was every team in the FBS. So, I mean, it could be. I'm not 100% sure. It's very, very interesting. I will be at work on Saturday and I won't be able to watch the game. I might not even have service to where I can listen to it. Yeah, I know. The one time the game is so important. This game is whoever wins this game is obviously going to the Big Ten championship. They are almost, I don't want to say almost guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff.
I would say that if they win, whoever wins OSU Michigan, regardless of the result of the Big Ten championship, and I say that with confidence because most likely you're going to put Bama or Tennessee. Most likely you're going to put one of those schools in the playoffs.
You're gonna put a 3-loss Tennessee team in there, or a 2-loss Tennessee team in after getting curb stomped by South Carolina. You're gonna put a two. You're gonna put
in front of them.
USC.
Okay,
Easy.
but they're going to have to win out.
Okay, all they have to do is beat Notre Dame.
I think no matter who wins this game, regardless of the Big Ten, OSU or Michigan is getting into the playoffs.
Well, here are the college football playoff rankings right now. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU round out the top 4. LSU is number 5. USC is number 6. Alabama is number 7.
All of them have losses, correct?
Alabama has 2. LSU has 2. LSU holds the edge over Alabama because they beat Alabama.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking at.
Clemson's number 8.
Who's TCU got this week? I don't remember what you said.
Iowa State, 4-7.
So most likely that's going to be a win unless it's an upset. If it's an upset, there's no chance.
LSU has Texas A&M.
I'll change my answer, and it's going to be LSU or Bama is most likely going to get in.
Now, here's my question. LSU has Texas A&M this week. All intents and purposes, that's a win.
Okay.
The week after that, they already punched their ticket to the SEC championship against Georgia.
Yep.
Bama. This is Bama's last game. Bama does not have the SEC championship to pull them in.
So LSU is playing Georgia
in the SEC championship on December 3rd. One of those two teams is getting in.
LSU has 1 loss or 2 losses?
2. They're 9-2.
So let's assume LSU does win, just like you said, and they beat Georgia. They pull an upset. Let's assume that. Now you have, and OSU or Michigan's going to lose, obviously.
Yeah.
So now you've got, if Georgia loses, regardless of the regular season, you've only got, 3 teams that are undefeated?
If Georgia loses, you'll have 2. Well,
so
TCU.
Michigan or Ohio State.
TCU will still have the Big 12. And the Big 12 is still undecided. It's going to be either TCU and probably Kansas State, who is 6-2 in the Big 12 championship. But my thing with that is, are you going to put a 2-loss LSU over an undefeated TCU? When you look at the strength of schedule, I mean, TCU has a couple big wins. I mean, they squeaked out against Baylor last week. They've beaten Texas, Texas Tech, WVU, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Oklahoma, SMU, Tarleton, and then Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: I wouldn't want to be in that room if Georgia
No.
loses in the SEC championship. I don't want to be in that room making that
Nope.
decision
Nope.
because
If
yeah, I
now,
mean,
but
like I
now
said,
here's the
you're
thing.
gonna
Now let's
teams
put
that
it.
have losses have to make the playoffs this year. It's inevitable
Yeah. Now let's
because
put
you're
it this
putting
way.
in Michigan, Ohio State. One of
Yep.
them's getting in.
Here's my question to you. Georgia wins. Georgia wins out. They're automatically in. They're the number 1 seed.
For sure.
Okay. Ohio State wins. They're in the Big Ten championship. They win against it's probably going to be Illinois. They beat Illinois. They're in it too, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. TCU wins out. Okay. Are they number 3, or are you putting a 1-loss team over top of them?
I'd probably
Personally, I would keep
for
them
ticket
4.
sales sake, I would put Michigan at 3, TCU at 4. You have an Ohio State Michigan repeat and the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough. I
think it's going to be tough to put. You're going to be hard pressed to put 2 Big Ten schools in there.
Yeah, because
one of them's going to have a minimum of 1 loss.
No, one of them is only going to have 1 loss because one of them is going to have a loss, and the loser of that game does not go to the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
Now, would you put a 1-loss Ohio State team without a Big Ten championship in the college football playoff?
I don't know.
Now, would you put a 1-loss Ohio State, who's been ranked all season, in over a 2-loss or a 3-loss LSU who went to an SEC championship?
Yeah, I'd put a 1-loss over a 3-loss all day.
Absolutely. Okay, we got that settled out. So let's start rolling along here, and we're going to move along. Oh, go ahead, Mark. You had something else. Sorry.
Yeah, my last 2 things. Anyone see any of like the little bit of updates they're having of the NCAA 24 game? It's now been pushed back even a little more.
Yeah, yep. Stupid people. It's pushed back to 2024.
Yeah, well, so I was reading the article today, and it actually looks pretty interesting how they're doing stuff. They're doing 3D scans of mascots and of the stadiums, so that you have more authentic. They're not doing every stadium; they're picking the big ones. I assume the shoe is one of the big ones they're doing.
No, it's the second largest stadium in college football. But yeah, so it got pushed back, unfortunately. Somehow they can have a new Madden every single freaking year, but they can't have a college football game. Stupid bullshit.
Well, I think they're doing the right thing. College football was such a popular franchise.
It was. I still watch people on TikTok playing it.
Oh, I'm still playing it. Like 14 has Denard Robinson on the.
See, I never had 14. I had 13. I love 13. And it had
the one that had RG3.
RG3. Yep, it was the Heisman edition. Yep.
Yeah, I still have 14 with Denard Robinson on it, and like I said, I still play from time to time. So this is not football related, but I have to turn my camera off so Jason can turn his back on. I do have to say, Jason's sporting a pretty sexy jersey right now, and I just need to bring attention to that jersey. That's the new Penguins jersey, and that
it's beautiful. It's a beaut.
I love this jersey so much.
It is a beaut.
I saw it, and I mean, it's the RoboPeg. I mean, come on, it's a classic.
You got to, yeah. So before we move into the draft, I've got one thing to say. The FIFA World Cup is currently going on in Qatar right now. Qatar, whatever you want to say. The United States did play their first game.
You were pulling some Qatar Baelish stuff on me.
No. They had already played their first game against Wales. They drawed 1-1. They drew 1-1. But I was listening to the game, and I had an extreme moment of patriotism. All right, so we were in the Middle East, in like the middle of the Middle East, and you're hearing one side of the stadium go USA, and then they just brought it all together, and you hear USA chants break out in the Middle East. There's something going on, right? All right, it was awesome. I got goosebumps, and then it was about 5 minutes later they scored their first goal. That place went nuts, but they couldn't hold off. They kind of fell apart in the second half and had a penalty, and Gareth Bale, one of the best players in the world, kind of put it to him.
Yeah, fun little fact about the USA chant. You know when that originally started?
1776.
That was good.
No, so the USA chant that everyone does now.
I swear, if you say it was Miracle on Ice,
It was.
okay, that's even cooler. That's cool.
USA.
That was cool.
Yep. It was Miracle on Ice. That was the first time that the USA chant was used when
That is cool.
when they upset the Soviets.
Now they do have their next game. We're still in the group stages, but it is when is it? 2 p.m. on Friday against England. England is going to curb stomp them. They dropped 6 on Iran. So
There was
it ain't gonna be pretty.
the biggest upset happened. Argentina. And,
Yes, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia.
yeah, biggest upset in World Cup.
Yep. And it was
And
it
that's sports betting wise. It's not necessarily
2-1
playability. It's sports.
But no, I mean everyone went in thinking that Lionel Messi and Argentina team was gonna bring it home, but they're on the outskirts right now. But no, so far this has been a very good World Cup from everything that I've seen and watched of it. But yeah, it's very good, very interesting. But that's gonna round out the regular part of the episode, and now we're gonna move into the draft. So the last draft we did was a couple weeks ago. Jason probably turned his camera off so he could go get his crown because he won. Yeah.
With
so
the big old goose egg in votes.
Yep. Mark kind of sucked in the last ones.
I did.
Okay. So Mark, you got first pick, then me, and then Jason with the crown. Yep. There we go. We are doing the best sports rivalries. All right. Mark, put it in the chat. Let's go.
All right. With the first overall pick in the best rivalries draft, you got to go with the game, obviously, with the M's X'd out, but State and the T North.
Yep. All right. With number 2, UNC Duke, college basketball, all day, every day.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. Go Tar Heels.
Number 3, and my first pick, the Red River Showdown.
Yep.
Oklahoma versus Texas.
Texas. It's a good one. It's a good one. Good.
And number 4, I know we don't really talk about the NBA a whole lot, but it's as a Celtics fan, it's one that I would be wrong if I didn't include it. Celtics and Lakers. You go back to Bird versus Magic.
And Johnson. Yep.
I mean,
yep.
It's a tale as old as time.
You got Kobe versus the Big Three. It's a good one. I don't. Oh, I'm next, aren't I? I don't blame you at all for that one. My second pick, baseball, Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah, that was going to be my next one.
With the 6th pick, Packers, Bears.
Packers, Bears. It should be a very competitive game this year. You can still play them one more time?
Yes, we do.
Number 7.
Apologize if I take anybody else's picks, but since I brought it up earlier, I'm going to take it at this point. The backyard brawl.
That's a good one. Good. Steelers, Browns.
That's a good one. That's a good pick.
Yep. We're just getting them all out now.
We are. Just got to start taking shots.
Yep.
Number 9, a rivalry that I kind of grew up with in a weird way. Pens Caps, Sid and Ovi. It's just, and seeing what Sid and Ovi have done, it's just ridiculous. Still getting it done. Oh boy.
Yeah, we're getting down to some of the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, you guys took 2 of my original top 5. Another one that we mentioned earlier and one that I always enjoy watching, even though the teams aren't the best, Army Navy.
Oh, I thought you were taking my pick. That is a very good one. I do enjoy it. Navy's uniforms, like Mark said earlier, they're pretty awesome. All right, number 11 pick. Here we go. The Iron Bowl.
Go.
Yeah. Alabama, Auburn.
So maybe slightly controversial pick because it's people, but it's still a rivalry and it's still happening. It's still happening. It's still a sports rivalry. However, it's in racing, so I have to pick people.
Don't care about it.
I'm going with Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen in Formula One.
You were the only person that was going to pick it.
Yeah, anyone else going to pick it. Question: does the level of play matter? So, like, is all the breadth of all sports?
Are you going to pick a high school sports rivalry?
Yes,
Go
I
for
am.
it. You can pick Buckeye local Martins Ferry, Buckeye local Indian Creek. Yeah.
I'm picking Martins Ferry and Buckeye local. That is
Yeah.
what I'm picking.
It
Even though it
used
doesn't
to
have
be a good
football.
rivalry.
Well,
It used to be.
Yeah, I mean, some of these rivalries are hit or miss. Like the Steelers Browns. It hasn't been a rivalry for years, but more recently, it has become more of a rivalry because they are battling for. Right now, the Steelers and Browns are battling to not be last in the AFC North.
Yep.
So I mean, it's now it's definitely a rivalry.
Yep. And I gotta do it. I have to do it with my last pick. Barcelona, Real Madrid, the El Clasico.
Good.
It is one of, if not the best and most watched soccer games in the world every single year.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm not a soccer fan, but it's one of those ones that you know
Like,
about regardless.
yeah, well, like right now, it's not. I mean, it's not really much of anything because what made it special was Barcelona was stacked. All right.
Yeah.
Lionel Messi, Suarez, and oh crap, what was his name? Neymar. Those three, they had their own big three for Barcelona going up against Real Madrid with Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, Ronaldo is with Manchester United, even though they just decided to part ways. Messi is with PSG, Paris Saint Germain. So the match doesn't mean as much anymore. Barcelona still has Robert Lewandowski though. So I mean, it's still a good game. All right, I'm done. It's enough soccer.
Jason, did we take your picks, Jay?
No. I was looking at something. I'm sorry. I suck.
No, you're good. You're good. I was kind of rambling about soccer. It's fine.
Number 15. Maybe a one that doesn't get enough respect, but Boston College and Boston University.
Interesting.
It's a very good one.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that ends the draft. Jason, where can they find us?
You can find us on our social medias. We've got Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also listen along on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. And you can watch this video right here on YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, hit the like button, hit subscribe, because I know a lot of you like to watch the episodes, but you're not subscribed. So consider hitting subscribe because it's free for one, and who doesn't like free stuff? And it also helps us out very nicely. And when you do hit subscribe, go ahead and click the little notification bell so you never miss a new upload.
Ding. I just need to get my water bottle from downstairs.
We've been doing this podcast for well over a year now, and we still haven't figured out the good pating noise. We just got to figure it out. Every week, someone needs to bring something to the table. And,
it would be really easy if we could just have an editor that would just put in a pating sound. We could solve all of our problems.
It's more fun to just try. It's more fun to just try every week to figure it out.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna sign off here. I'm gonna go play some Xbox. Have a happy Thanksgiving, gentlemen. And we will be back same time, same place next week.
Yes, have a happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Be safe.
Don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. Fuck.